Today we're learning about indefinite articles. So like I said in the last lesson about definite articles, these are determiners and we need them very, very often in French. You cannot just be leaving them off as often as we do in English. And this is our a, an, or the. Now we've covered the with our definite articles. These are our indefinite articles, a or an and some. Now, in English, we have a or an. There is no word for an in French because an is the same thing as a. The only reason we say an is if we have a word following it that begins with a vowel. We say an apple. Why is it an? Because apple begins with an A. So please, please, please do not think un is a and une is un. An. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a or an. Doesn't matter. Okay? What you need to focus on is knowing if a noun is masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. Again, you got to go back to those. So a or an and some of the time, and we'll get to that. So how do you say a or an in French? It's un. And I'm not saying the n. It's a nasal. And we do actually have this in English. It's in our words like fungus. Anything is a nasal if you have a cold and it's hard for you to say. So that's why words with M or N, those tend to be nasal sounds, and that's why if you have a cold, you sound funny every time you say that sound. It's because it uses your nose. If your nose is stuffed, it makes it harder to pronounce. So we're using our nose more. We just don't think about it. So just that same thing, that is what we have here. We're saying and then it's going kind of back towards our throat a bit. It's a or n. Masculine singular. Une is our feminine singular for a or n. And if it's plural, and we'll get to the ways that we use it, it is they. And that means some of the time. Because sometimes we don't bother translating it into English. We don't use it. Again, we drop it in English, but you can't just be dropping it in French. Okay. Now, indefinite articles, just like English, we're going to use for non-specific nouns. If I brought an apple to school for lunch, I just brought an apple. I brought any apple. But then if I looked in my lunch bag and I didn't see the apple, I would say, where's the apple? Again, I'm going back to a specific one, the apple that was here. But when I grabbed the apple, to begin with, I just grabbed an apple. It doesn't matter what apple. I was just taking one from a bunch. Again, it's not specific. It's just an apple. But I'll start saying the apple when I'm saying, well, the apple that I had. And I'm referring to a specific one now. So just like we have that nuance in English, we have that in French. So I could ask you, tu as une voiture? You have a car? Like, do you have a car? I'm not saying the same car. You have the car that used to be owned by someone. I'm not saying specific car. I'm saying a car. Do you have a car? Now, to use that same example, tu as une voiture. Une could also be referring to, or one. So if I said, tu as deux voitures? Do you have two cars? You would say, non, j'ai une voiture. So you're using a or n also for the number one. Now, let's get to des. Des means some of the time. If I said in French, j'ai, I have, des biscuits, I have cookies. I could say, I have cookies in English, or I could say, I have some cookies. Depending on the context, I would not need to translate des into English. I would just say, I have some cookies. This could mean, or I have cookies. It could mean either one. I have cookies, I have some cookies. They does not always need to have an English word. Now let's get to some exceptions here. Indefinite gets a little bit trickier because it has some exceptions. If you are saying something negative, which means you're introducing the word not, okay, that's negative, then we need to make some changes in our sentence here. So if I asked you if you have a dog, tu as un chien? Do you have a dog? You said no, Je n'ai pas. So n'ai pas, ne and pas is our way for not. We'll talk a little bit more about that for now. Just know that's not. This is our negative. Je n'ai pas de chien. So I just asked you if you had un chien, un, our indefinite article, but you said no, you're making it negative. So now we're not using an indefinite article here. We're not using un, une, or des. We're using de in front of our noun instead. So do not say, no, I don't have a dog like we do in English. You're going to say, je n'ai pas de. So you won't use un, you won't use une, you won't use des, you will use de. And if you're saying, I don't have, like, for instance, oh, do you have an uncle? No, I don't have an uncle. I don't have any uncles. Je n'ai pas d'oncle. So it's still de. The only reason we changed it is because we have a vowel. So the apostrophe is the same thing as de. It's the same thing. So again, negative. If you have negative, you're not going to put un, une, or des. You're going to put de, or if there's a vowel, the apostrophe. Most of the time, you're going to see this rule with avoir. We're going to get to this verb, to have, avoir. That's where this rule is going to come up so much, it's going to get annoying. It's not even an exception anymore. Anytime it's negative with avoir, you're going to have de. Just remember that, okay? It's going to come up a lot more with avoir, and almost don't even worry about it for anything else, because it's so often with avoir that if you can remember it for that, then you'll get most of the times where it comes up for you, for, French 1 and French 2. Okay. So focus on that with avoir. Now, another exception is if you happen to have an adjective right next to it and it's plural, then you're going to change it to de. So, normally you would say, j'ai des amis. I have friends. Remember, I have friends or I have some friends. But if the word right here, right next to it, we have put an adjective, a plural adjective, I have good friends. Okay, I have good friends. Now we have a plural adjective. Change it to de. That will come up when we're talking about body parts, hair, eyes, ears. This will come up more often for that. But just plural adjective, use de again. And if there's a vowel, again, the apostrophe. Now, one last note is we do this. I'm going to tell you what we do in English. She is a teacher. I am a student. He is a lawyer. We say a. We're using these indefinite articles. Don't use them in French for occupations. All you do is say she is teacher. I am student. It's almost like this occupation becomes like an adjective. So he is lawyer. I am doctor. Do not say a. I am a doctor. Don't do it. Okay, you do not need it there. So that's one of the times where the French reverses and says, no, we don't need it here, because it's acting like an adjective. Okay?